Right now, if you're bored, you have a supercomputer in your pocket. You can watch a movie, scroll for hours, call a friend on the other side of the planet, play a game designed by a team of 100 people whose entire job was to keep you entertained. Boredom for you is a 5-second inconvenience, solved by unlocking a screen. Now take all of that away. No phone, no books, no music you didn't make yourself, no games you didn't invent on the spot with whatever was lying around. Now imagine you're also exhausted. It's the middle of a long afternoon, the hunting and gathering for the day is done, and there are still hours of daylight left with absolutely nothing forcing you to do anything. You'd think that would just be dead time, wasted hours, a gap in the schedule. It wasn't. Ancient women didn't just endure boredom, they turned empty time into some of the most important inventions in human history. And the way they filled those hours changed almost everything about how humans think, connect, and create. Here's something that surprises a lot of people. Anthropologists studying hunter-gatherer societies have found that many groups didn't actually spend all day working just to survive. Some studies estimate that hunter-gatherers spent as little as 15 to 20 hours a week on hunting and gathering. That leaves an enormous amount of time left over. So what did ancient women do with it? This wasn't a minor question. Filling that time mattered. A community with too much unstructured time and no outlet for it can turn restless, distracted, even dangerous to itself. Ancient women faced this exact problem over and over for hundreds of thousands of years, and they solved it. Not with one invention, but with several, each one stacking on top of the last. The first problem was simple. What do you do with your hands when there's nothing urgent to do? The answer, it turns out, was everything. Archaeologists have found evidence of intricate beadwork dating back over 100,000 years. Tiny shell beads, deliberately drilled with stone tools, strung together into necklaces and bracelets. This is painstaking work. Drilling a hole through a shell that small, using nothing but another piece of stone, could take hours. Nobody needed that necklace to survive. Nobody needed it for food or shelter or warmth. They made it because their hands needed something to do, and because the result meant something. But beadwork has a problem. It requires materials, shells, stones, something to actually work with. So ancient women adapted. They turned to weaving. Archaeologists working in Georgia, in the country, not the state, found twisted fibers dating back over 30,000 years, dyed in multiple colors. Deliberately dyed, deliberately twisted. This wasn't accidental. This was someone with time on her hands, figuring out how to turn plant fiber into something colorful and useful, purely through experimentation. Basket weaving, cordage, early textiles. All of it likely emerged, at least in part, from women filling long stretches of unstructured time with their hands. But idle hands are only part of the problem. What about idle minds? Sitting quietly for hours with nothing to think about isn't actually restful. It's uncomfortable. Human brains are wired to seek stimulation. Ancient women solved this too. With sound. Archaeologists have discovered bone flutes dating back over 40,000 years, carved with small, precise finger holes capable of playing distinct notes. Someone had to figure out exactly where to place those holes to make a scale. That takes trial and error. That takes time. Time that had to come from somewhere other than hunting or gathering. Music didn't stop at instruments. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer groups have documented extensive traditions of humming, singing, and rhythmic clapping used purely for enjoyment, not ritual. But music has a problem too. It requires either an instrument or a group of people to sing with. What about the quiet moments in between? That's where storytelling comes in. Every hunter-gatherer society studied by anthropologists has some tradition of oral storytelling, myths, jokes, exaggerated hunting stories told around a fire, gossip about the group down the river. Researchers studying groups like the Juhawansi of the Kalahari found that a significant portion of evening conversation, after serious daytime talk was finished, was devoted purely to storytelling for entertainment. Not survival information, just entertainment. Boredom, it turns out, may be one of the reasons humans developed complex language and storytelling in the first place. Music and stories solve quiet moments. But what about when a group has energy to burn and nothing urgent to burn it on? The answer was games. Archaeologists have found ancient dice, carved from bone and stone, dating back thousands of years across multiple cultures. Simple board games scratched into flat stones have been found at sites around the world. But games have a problem. Not everyone always has a carved die or a stone board handy. So ancient women invented games that needed nothing but their own bodies. Anthropologists have documented string games, cat's cradle-style patterns, in hunter-gatherer cultures on nearly every continent, cultures with no historical contact with each other. The same basic idea, invented independently over and over. Wrestling games, foot races, throwing competitions, all documented across ancient and modern hunter-gatherer societies, all requiring nothing but time, energy, and other people. These weren't just fun. They quietly trained real skills, hand-eye coordination, strategy, physical endurance, all disguised as play. Boredom didn't just get filled. It got turned into training, without anyone calling it training. Here's the deepest problem of all. Filling time with activity is one thing, but even filled time can still feel empty if it doesn't mean anything. Ancient women solved this too, through art. Cave paintings, long assumed to be primarily the work of men, are now understood differently. Analysis of hand stencils found in European cave art, based on the proportions of the hand bones, suggests that a majority of them may have belonged to women. This changes the picture significantly. Women weren't just filling time. They were among the first artists in human history, deliberately leaving a mark that would outlast them. Beyond painting, archaeologists have found intricately carved figurines, some dating back over 30,000 years, showing a level of detail that required significant uninterrupted time and skill to produce. But even art has a problem. A painting or a carving is often made alone. What about the need to create something together, as a group? That's where ritual and ceremony come in. Anthropologists studying hunter-gatherer societies have documented elaborate coming-of-age ceremonies, seasonal celebrations, and communal dances, many led or organized by women, that combined music, art, storytelling, and movement into single, deeply meaningful shared events. Boredom, filled with meaning, became culture. And culture is one of the main things that separates human history from the history of every other animal on this planet. Here's the twist that changes how you should think about all of this. We tend to imagine ancient life as a constant, exhausting struggle, survival and nothing else. But the evidence tells a different story. Ancient women had real leisure time, and what they built with it wasn't wasted. Beadwork became art and trade. Music became language and connection. Games became training and bonding. Storytelling became myth, memory, and meaning passed down for thousands of years. Nearly every one of the technologies and traditions that make human culture what it is today, art, music, games, stories, may trace back, at least in part, to ancient women filling ordinary, unremarkable afternoons with nothing forcing them to. The hardest evidence for how advanced ancient humans really were isn't just the weapons they made to survive, it's the beauty they made when survival wasn't the problem that day. So here's the full picture. The idle hands problem, and they answered it with beadwork, weaving, and early textiles. The silent mind problem, and they answered it with music, flutes, and storytelling. The restless energy problem, and they answered it with games, string patterns, and competitions. The need for meaning, and they answered it with art, ritual, and shared ceremony. Every one of those afternoons with nothing urgent to do became a quiet laboratory. Thousands of years of ancient women, sitting by a fire with time on their hands, slowly inventing the foundations of human culture. And now, look at you. You open an app because you're bored for 30 seconds. You skip a song after 4 seconds because it didn't grab you fast enough. You have more entertainment available in your pocket right now than any human being in history has ever had access to. And your ancestors built the foundation for nearly all of it, humming, weaving, painting, and playing, in the quiet hours when nothing else needed to be done. You don't even notice boredom anymore, not because it disappeared, because thousands of years of ancient women turned it into something worth remembering.